This is the AI News Flash for August 14th, 6 a.m. UTC. First up, Apple has trained its own large language model specifically for the China market, according to an exclusive Reuters report citing people familiar with the matter. The training was carried out with the support of China's Alibaba group. Until now, Apple has relied on domestic partners' models to power AI features on devices sold in China. In its home market, Apple pairs its own technology with Anthropic's Claude and OpenAI's ChatGPT, but neither is available in China. This move marks a clear departure from that approach. The China version of Apple Intelligence is set to incorporate Alibaba's Qwen model, running on compatible iPhone, iPad, Mac, and Vision Pro devices. Technology from Baidu is also expected to be folded in. The rollout is anticipated within the coming months, following an iOS update. Neither Apple nor Alibaba responded to requests for comment. In the world's largest smartphone market where regulation blocks American models outright, Apple is now building its own model with a local partner's help. It is a concrete example of AI strategy fragmenting along regional lines. Next, Chinese AI company Z.ai has released its new model, GLM-5.3, aiming to catch Anthropic and OpenAI in coding. The gains in coding are striking. Terminal Bench 3.0 jumped from 4.6 points in the previous generation to 28.3. DeepSuite rose from 46.2 to 66.9. On the company's own benchmark, GLM-5.3 scored 31.4% using roughly 50,000 tokens, edging past Claude Opus at 29.5% using 120,000 tokens. On harder evaluations, however, it still trails Claude Fable 5 and GPT 5.6 Sol. What is drawing attention is an unplanned surge in cyber capability. CyberGym climbed from 77.2 to 84.5%, and Exploit Bench more than doubled, from 24.4 to 54.4%. The company says the model no longer just finds isolated vulnerabilities. It now reasons across multiple stages of exploitation and forms coherent plans for complete exploit chains. In real-world testing, it identified 2,436 vulnerabilities across 269 open-source projects, including 1,097 rated critical or high severity. 53 of those have been publicly disclosed with CVEs. The remaining 2,383 are still under embargo. The model is available today through the Z.ai API and its coding plan, with open waits due in about 2 weeks after safety evaluation. Chinese labs are closing in on frontier coding performance, and the release raises the question of how to handle offensive capability that arrives as a byproduct. Third, a surge in AI-related borrowing is pushing bond yields higher and could become the next risk for equity markets and the global economy, according to a Reuters analysis. Inflation-adjusted borrowing costs have reached their highest levels in more than a decade across major economies. U.S. 30-year real yields are near 18-year highs at around 3%, while British and German 10-year real yields are trading at their highest in over 10 years. Investors and analysts point to a surge in bond issuance by AI hyperscalers as the leading factor. With governments still spending heavily at the same time, a flood of bonds is hitting the market, and buyers are demanding higher returns to keep absorbing it. The numbers bear this out. In 2025, net investment-grade bond issuance from the U.S. technology sector reached $131 billion, more than double the $61 billion annual average of the previous 5 years. Year-to-date, net issuance already stands at $192 billion, accounting for 27% of all investment-grade net issuance, with projections of $230 billion for 2026, a 76% increase. Financing the AI build-out is now feeding through into borrowing costs for the real economy. Fourth, Cactus Compute has open-sourced Needle 2, a tool-calling model with just 45 million parameters. But the headline is its size. The binary is only 14 megabytes and a full session runs in roughly 28 megabytes of RAM. 2-bit quantization is trained in rather than applied afterward, and the architecture is a 27-layer simple attention network. It spends 70 megaflops per token. Throughput figures are also reported. The model decodes at 500 tokens per second on a Raspberry Pi 5, 400 to 1,500 tokens per second on a Meta Quest 3S and Apple Vision Pro, and 300 to 700 tokens per second on phones costing under $200. On the Seal Tools tool calling benchmark, it scored 32.6% in domain and 28.7% out of domain, beating rival small models with roughly 5 times the parameters. On BFCL v4, it managed only 42.6%, so its strengths are narrow and clearly defined. The design deliberately skips world knowledge and focuses on mapping a messy sentence onto a typed function signature aimed squarely at autonomous processing at the edge. And finally, a new report finds that European publishers are being hit substantially harder than North American ones by AI bot scraping. Tollbit analyzed 3,906 publishers, 456 of them European and the rest North American. European sites saw a median volume of AI scrapes 4 times higher than North American sites. The dataset includes The Telegraph, Ringier of Switzerland, and Styria of Austria. The return on that traffic is minimal. European publishers received just 1 human referral for every 179 AI bot visits, 3 times worse than North America. In the first half of 2026, only 0.05% of external referrals to European sites came from AI apps, against 0.16% in North America. And the trend is worsening. The scrape-to-referral ratio widened from 150 to 1 in the first quarter to 227 to 1 in the second. Crawl restrictions set in robots.txt on European sites are ignored nearly 3 times as often as on North American ones. Analysts attribute the gap to demand for multilingual content and the collection of non-English training data. That's all for this AI news flash.